Mackenzie Dern's incredible comeback following her first career loss back in 2019 has come to a full stop. Brazil's Marina Rodriguez defeated the Jiu-Jitsu star in the main event of UFC Vegas 39 to rack up a dominant decision win. Hello everyone, my name is Danny Segura, and in this video we're going to discuss the result of the main event of UFC Vegas 39, as well as what it means for the division and what it could lead to. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start off with the winner here, Marina Rodriguez, or should I say Marina Rodriguez, obviously being from Brazil. Dominant win, really. There was 2 times where she was in trouble in that fight, but even then, it wasn't extremely close to getting submitted. Sure, it looked dicey. It looked a little bit suspect at times, but apart from those 2 instances, it was a pretty dominant win from Marina Rodriguez, winning 49 of 246 on all 3 judges' scorecard. There was no controversy. Nobody after the fight was wondering if Mackenzie might have stole that fight, who would have won. It was pretty clear that the Brazilian Marina Rodriguez had done enough to get that victory. So let's talk about real quick of what we saw that night about the fight itself, and then I want to dissect and kind of go into what the result means for Marina Rodriguez. So, as I said, first round, pretty dominant. Marina Rodriguez just, keeping a pretty dominant fight on the feet. Pretty clear that she had the edge in that department, and really not letting Mackenzie Dern get too close to her for a takedown or for a clinch. She did a phenomenal job at keeping the distance and making sure to, keep her in the jab and keeping her away with kicks. Second round hits, that's where it gets tough. Dern is able to get, I guess, a takedown. She went for a judo throw, failed to get it actually, but Dern is so skilled that she doesn't really need a takedown. All she needs is to close the distance and, get contact. That's all she needs. Whether she ends up on bottom or whatever the case may be, it's irrelevant. What matters in that situation is that Dern is able to get a grip of you. So that's what happened. Dern ended up on bottom after a failed judo throw, was able to reverse the position, and it was a complete nightmare for Marina Rodriguez in that situation. She was constantly defending, constantly trying to avoid getting submitted. I believe a rear naked choke somewhat came close. An armbar from the legs on crucifix kind of came close. What else? There was almost a mounted triangle that was starting to form before the bell rang. So it was a little tough, but, Marina Rodriguez did a good job at defending and sort of staying alive. Then comes the third round. Rodriguez dominates the action. Again, just complete edge on the striking department. Fourth round, same thing, but the last 30 seconds, Dern is able to create a scramble, gets on top, just didn't have enough time to work. Rodriguez survives to see the end of the round. In fifth round, extremely dominant, just puts a beating on the feet on Mackenzie Dern, really. Dern stood no chance as far as the standing up part of the fight. When it came down to the ground, it was obviously pretty clear that Dern was in charge there, but she just wasn't able to get the fight to the ground, and that's how Marina Rodriguez scored a 49-46 card across all 3 judges. So pretty dominant win, and really a surprising one. I thought that Dern was going to win this bout. I picked her in the MMA Junkie staff picks. I thought, she was going to probably get a submission here, and she was looking really good in this 4-5 winning streak that she had prior to the defeat. But Rodriguez had other plans, man, and all of a sudden she's a title contender in that division. I think it's pretty clear that she is officially in title contention. Sometimes there's a middle ground that fighters enter, like kind of, not really, but this one's pretty clear. She's a title contender. She's definitely 1 fight away from fighting for the belt, and you never know. If the stars align, if injuries happen, she could even be next for the belt. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as the landscape, not counting injuries, not counting COVID, it looks like she does need 1 more fight. Why? Because November 6th date, obviously, we have a championship bout at 115 pounds. Rose Namajunas defending her title against Zhang Weili in the rematch. And it looks like waiting right outside of that is Carla Esparza, former champion, has a win over Rodriguez. Also, 5-fight winning streak. Just clearly a much more better resume to get a title shot when you compare it to Rodriguez. Again, she's got a win over Rodriguez. She's a former champion. She's got a 5-5 winning streak instead of 3 as for Rodriguez. So clearly, I think Rodriguez didn't skip Carla Esparza in this situation. Unless an injury happens or COVID happens, Esparza should be getting the next title shot, right? Obviously, we can see something crazy, a really close fight between Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili, and all of a sudden we get a trilogy fight, or even if Zhang Weili wins, settles the score, one apiece, maybe a trilogy. But I think if Rose wins, Esparza should be next. So we'll see what happens there. But even we'll see how that plays out. But until that plays out, it's pretty clear, I think, that Rodriguez needs a title eliminator bout, and so she can punch her ticket and be next in line for the title shot. So if we're looking at the division, really, there's only 2 fighters ahead of her that would make sense for her next, and that is Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the former champion, and Yang Xiaonan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. To me, the most interesting fight is Joanna Jędrzejczyk. 2 strikers. I think Joanna Jędrzejczyk has done a lot for the sport, has done a lot for women's MMA, has done a lot for the division, being the most dominant champion that division has ever had. So I don't think that she needs to build a crazy win streak to get back to the title. However, I don't think it's entirely fair for her to just pop up after, a year plus of inactivity and get the next shot. So I do think another fight for her is warranted. And what a better way than Marina Rodriguez, who's another striker, a very exciting fighter, and someone who's obviously in title contention now. So I think that's the move. However, Rodriguez at the post-fight presser said, I'm not interested. Why? Because she's not interested. That type of scenario. But we'll see. We'll see. I think down the line, maybe it could make more sense. I do think if that fight is offered and it does interest Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I have no doubt in my mind that Rodriguez will take that fight. It's obviously a huge fight for her, the biggest fight of her career, honestly. That could elevate her status quite high and put her next in line for the title shot. So to me, hopefully the UFC makes that fight happen and brings back Jędrzejczyk from, I wouldn't say retirement, but that long layoff, because last time Jędrzejczyk fought, it was pre-pandemic, literally the last UFC event before the world shut down, UFC 248 in Vegas. That was March of 2020. So anyways, to me, that's the move. If not, Yang Xiaonan, I think, does the job as well, just because she's ranked ahead of her, and it's still an exciting fight. So we'll see where Rodriguez goes next, but I think either of those 2 is the move. Keep her away from Carla Esparza. Esparza, 5-5 winning streak. I mean, let me read you the numbers that she's beaten. Virna Jandiroba, I mean, that's a tough fight. Alexa Grasso, tough fight. Michelle Waterson, Marina Rodriguez, Yang Xiaonan herself. In that fight, she ended up performance of the night bonus. It's pretty clear that Esparza should be next. Former champion, I mean, it'd be criminal if they make her fight one more time. So I think Jędrzejczyk or Yang Xiaonan for Marina Rodriguez next. All right, now let's talk about Mackenzie Dern. And I want to spend a little bit more time in Mackenzie Dern because, I don't know, I have really high expectations on Dern. If you guys follow me on Twitter and have followed my previous work, you guys know that I think she's championship material. I think she has what it takes to fight for the belt, and not only fight for the belt, but win it. I really do believe it. She is a very young fighter. She's 28, so not extremely young, but still relatively young. But I think in terms of miles and age in the sport, she's a baby. I mean, she's only been doing this for 5 years. She made her professional debut in 2016. So it's not a fighter that's been around for 10 years, 11 years, 12 years. And you kind of know what you already have with the fighter. Kind of a finished product. Maybe it'll improve in certain areas, but more or less, they are who they are. No, that's not the case with Dern, right? Dern has the best jiu-jitsu in women's MMA, period. That in itself is a huge edge. That in itself, I mean, can get you to wonderful places in the sport, but maybe not a title. I think it was pretty clear with this fight that there are some things that she needs to work on. I think we already knew a little bit about this entering the fight, and that is that 10% takedown accuracy that she owns entering that Marina Rodriguez fight. It's probably even worse now after the bout. It's probably even lower. But yeah, I think before it was like, okay, yeah, her takedowns are not that great, but she doesn't really need them as long as she can pull guard, just kind of get into a clinch, create a scramble, an opportunity. It works for her. And obviously, she was coming off 3 first-round submissions in her 4-fight winning streak, 3 performance of the night bonuses, so it was clearly working for her. But once you get to a certain level or face a certain type of fighter like Rodriguez, it's going to take a little bit more than just jiu-jitsu skills. And I think we saw that. I think her striking is not great, but I don't necessarily think she needs to make huge improvements in order to get a title shot or enter title contention and be part of the elite. Just because I think that crazy jiu-jitsu skill set kind of balances things out. I would be worried about it if there were certain patterns in her striking that would cause concern, meaning shyness. A lot of fighters would be scared to go for a takedown or close the distance because they're scared of getting punched. That's not Dern. Dern, even with not so great strike, she'll strike with you. She does not care about getting hit. Obviously, I'm sure she doesn't enjoy it, but she's definitely not afraid of it. So that's huge. I mean, she was constantly trying to close the distance, and in that aspect of having a spirit to do that and be able to go through the fire, that was there. That's awesome. That's beautiful. What was lacking was takedowns, and I think that's going to be the next thing she's got to have to work on in order to achieve that next level, right? To sort of become Mackenzie Dern 3.0. And I'm still very hopeful about her future. I think that first loss to Amanda Ribas, that first professional loss back in 2019, really taught her a lot. And we really saw a much more focused version, right? All of a sudden, she was looking shredded. The weight issues were gone. A lot more focused. Her striking got a little better, actually a lot better working with Perillo. And clearly we saw a new version. And I'm hoping this loss against Marina Rodriguez, and I feel like it will just push her to, again, give a good look at her game and then reach that next level again. I mean, she already did it just, a year and a half ago against Ribas. So I think she can do it again here with this defeat against Rodriguez. And again, I think the key here to add to her game, yes, keep working on the striking. That's always good to have better striking. Why not? But it really is the takedowns. If she were to just bump that 10% to 25, 30%. I mean, imagine if she would have gotten 1 or 2 more takedowns in this fight. Look how dominant she was in that second round and how close she was from, getting the armbar, getting the rear naked choke. I mean, she was just a complete nightmare on the ground, and Rodriguez had her hands full once the fight hit the ground, and she didn't let her back up. Once the fight was on the ground, it stayed on the ground. So, again, if that 10% margin goes to 25, 30, and she's able to get 1 or 2 more takedowns in the fight, she's going to be racking up way more wins. So, again, just 28 years old, 5 years into the game. I really do think we're going to see another version of Mackenzie Dern. I'm not ready to take back anything that I've said about her being championship material. I am convinced at some point in her UFC run, she's going to get a title shot and possibly win it. Possibly become champion. Again, I'm more certain about the title shot. Obviously, it's easier to get there than to actually become the champ. But certainly, she's an elite in that division, and she's got the potential to do great things in the sport. Again, that jiu-jitsu skill set is unmatched. It's just ridiculous. Just watch that second round. She was just extremely dominant. And Rodriguez is good defensively and big on the ground, and yet she was pinned down by Dern. Also, something I love about Dern is she's so active, constantly doing, attacking for submissions, right? I think if she's able to add a little bit of ground and pound and sometimes focus a little less on the submission, especially when there's not much time on the clock, I think that'll change her game a little bit. But certainly, I still see a lot of potential there, even though she just took an L here against Rodriguez. I know a lot of people on Twitter were hating on her. I think it's like a thing, hate on Mackenzie Dern. But really, if you put all things aside, if you don't like her personality or whatever the case may be, your beef with Dern, just look at it from a technical standpoint. I mean, she's got tons of potential. So I still think there's a bright future for Dern after this. All right, so that's it for my recap of the main event of UFC Vegas 39. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more content coming your way. Give me a thumbs up on the video and also drop a comment. I'm curious to know what you think should be next for Rodriguez and what should be next for Dern. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.